Run it back, nation. What is good? It is your boy DJ Eastwood. Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. I hope this video is not 30 minutes long. I just want to. Nick Nurse was on NBA TV, did an interview. He said some very interesting things. I want to talk about the things that he said. I want to listen to the things that he said if you haven't heard it and give my opinion on the things that he said. You know how it goes. That's what this YouTube channel is, basically. Yeah, so hit the like button. That's how YouTube creators, grow. It helps out a lot. So please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notification bell on, and don't be a fraud, all right? Good morning. Let's get right down to business. Where's the play button at? Here we go. Ready?
You're moving quick as well from Toronto to Philadelphia. Yeah. And, the guy at the Epicenter, you get to take over an MVP. Not many coaches can say that when you get a new job. And you played against this guy in some pretty big games, right?
Yeah.
You prevented him from getting to the conference finals a couple of years ago. So what was it like playing against this guy?
Well, he's a problem, right?
I held him to 0 points once.
Right? Especially when there were some years we didn't really have some centers to play him. So first time we had him, Gasol could guard him, and Ibaka would come in, and we'd have to kind of change schemes a little bit. And then when we played the little bit smaller lineups, we had to do about everything you could possibly do to try to guard him. So he saw a lot. He saw a lot of stuff from us. And
yeah, I want to say that's a good point, and that's what people forget because during the regular season, when you're playing back-to-back against the Orlando Magic and they just let Joel Embiid go one-on-one and he scores 60 and then he scores a 57-point quadruple-double. This is why I don't care anymore, because you get to the playoffs and then you have coaches that are actually throwing strategy at him and slowing him down. So this regular season is going to be hard to watch because nobody gives a damn. What are you going to do in the second round? You know what I mean?
It's just out of necessity. So I'm glad I'm on his side now, so I don't have to try to go up against him.
And he's an MVP.
Yeah.
You've won a championship. Is the next step for him, because he's never been out of the second round.
Yeah.
When in the conversation you've had with him, does he look like and has the focus of, all right, I've won a lot of individual awards, I have a lot of money, now it's about that team success?
For sure. I think that he's very intelligent. He really wants to win, and I think that's, it's certainly got to be the goal, is to get him to get the team to the next round, and play like an MVP in those games to get them to the next round. So,
ooh, that's the one right there, man. That's the one right there. Nick Nurse basically just flat out said Joel Embiid has played like an MVP in all of the games except for the games that matter. He just flat out said, we got to get him to play like an MVP in those games that get you to the second. We got to get him to play like an MVP in the damn playoffs. You know what I mean? Nobody cares anymore. You play like an MVP in all the regular season, nobody cares, bro. We got to get him to play like an MVP in the playoffs. And he just flat out said he hasn't played like an MVP in the playoffs.
He certainly has all the ability. His skills keep improving, right? His shooting, his face-up game, all the different things he can do, passing, all that stuff. But he's still the biggest dude in the league once you get right down to it, right? So he's got to make sure we use a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
He just said another great thing, man. He's still, all the things that he can do, the face-ups, the jump shots, it's cool. It's flat, it's nice, but he's still the biggest dude in the league. We got to get his big ass under the basket, bro. We got to get his big ass to stop passing the ball in Game 7 when he's got Malcolm Brogdon on the block. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So, let's go, Nick. Oh, let's go.
Like 30 years ago, you didn't necessarily have to have a great relationship. Now it's more of a partnership, right, with your star player. Got to have the relationship. What's the relationship like with Embiid right now?
Well, it's been good. I saw him.
I hate those kind of questions.
Before I took the job.
We're best friends, bro. What do you want me to say?
Sit down with him there. Had another one right after I got the job. The day of the press conference, he came in, and then a third sit down. So he's been around the facility a little bit when I was there. So we've had some great conversations. He's like everybody else, including me. We're trying to figure out what the roster is going to look like, before training camp hits, and kind of just trying to keep a little bit of an open mind until we see that,
Yeah. And you're not the only team that goes through that. There's a lot of teams in the league where they don't know which players may or may not be there. How difficult is that? I get it. It's still only early July, but what about just dealing with that, the uncertainty of what the roster may or may not look like?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think one of the big reasons I took the job is I know Daryl's got a great track record. Daryl Morey, I've been with him. I worked for him a couple years in Houston, and when I coached the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. I think there's a lot of talk about what the roster looks like today, but I don't think that'll be the same roster that hits training camp, right?
Yeah! Run that back. Run that back. I don't think that'll be the same roster that hits training camp. Now, again, my guy RB, we were clapping the other night, said that he thinks James Harden's going to give in and stay in Philly. And I was saying there's no way this makes sense. There's no way re-signing all of these center or signing Mo Bamba, Montrezl Harrell, re-signing Paul. There's no way letting wings walk and signing 5 centers makes any sense. The roster does not make sense right now. There's no way they're coming back with this roster because it doesn't make sense, which means everybody is anticipating a big move. Daryl Morey's anticipating it. That's why he doesn't care what the roster looks like right now. Nick Nurse is anticipating it. The world is anticipating it. When James Harden wants to leave, you get him the hell out. Everyone's anticipating a big move. It's going to happen.
Right, so I think that we'll worry about it a little more when it gets a little closer.
And we're talking here with Nick Nurse, the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. It's been a pretty clear 1-2 punch here the last couple of years. Tyrese Maxey's kind of been in the distance a little bit. If there are changes to the roster, you think he's the type of guy that can be the number 2 on a contender, a team that wins a championship?
Well, first of all, I think Tyrese is having great seasons by leaps and bounds, right? Like, he came in as just kind of really fast and could get to the basket and play in the open floor, and then all of a sudden he became a really good shooter. Like, that was the part that, that kind of made you worry when you were going against it. You think, okay, let's build something to stop his speed, and then he just started stopping and shooting threes and then shooting deep threes and shooting at a really high percentage, so it gave him a whole another thing. Like, he's got some things to work on. I think he's a classic example of he's so fast that he's kind of relied on that all of his life.
Yeah, we've been saying that a lot about Tyrese. Like, one of the things he really needs to do is learn to change his speed. And if he learns to change his speed, bro, it's over.
And then we all know that things slow down and get a little more physical and all those things, and developing some more skills, being able to create for others a little more. There's all kinds of things that he can get better at. But man,
I think Maxey has gotten himself in the lab for the past couple years, and now I think Nick Nurse is really going to get in the lab with Tyrese Maxey, and you're going to see something. You're going to see something special this season. I'm so excited for Nick Nurse and Tyrese Maxey. I think you're going to see something very special.
I love him. He is a great dude, a great worker, and incredibly gifted.
You're a guy that's from the Midwest. You know all about the Chicago market. Great sports town.
Yep.
You coached in Toronto. Great sports town. Philadelphia is a great sports town with a bit of an edge, as you know.
We know, yeah. Philly fans are hard. I like it. It's cool.
One guy
I'll
that's
survive.
experienced that fire and push back a little bit is Tobias Harris.
Pushback. He blocked me on Instagram. Anyway.
He's come out at times, and his father's his agent has not been happy with the role. What's his role going to be like underneath you?
Well, I really like him. I've had some good conversations with him. Had a long sit down with his dad, who is his agent as well, yesterday. Listen, he's a guy that can do a lot of things. Like, he can play in the open floor, he can post up, he can score one-on-one, he can shoot the three. Really good defender, decent rebounder. He's got a lot to it.
Decent rebounder.
His game, and that's really all that. I'm just like, he's a good player.
Yo, I don't think Tobias Harris would like to hear this too much, because Tobias Harris thinks he's a star, and Tobias Harris' dad thinks he's a assassin scorer. And Nick Nurse comes out and basically says what I've been saying for years. He's just a guy. He's just a guy. He's just there. Like, he's just like, and that's pretty much it. He's a good player.
He's a good player. We're going to use him,
And I'll tell you what, Paul Reed was a good player for the Philadelphia 76ers in that first-round series against the Brooklyn Nets. He gave them some really good minutes. What about Paul Reed?
Glad we have him back. Probably seen him more than anybody. He's one of those guys that's in the gym.
Yep.
I see him in there in the morning when I get
Let's go,
there.
B-ball.
I'm still in there at night, and he's comes back for a second workout, and great work ethic. We're trying to again work on a few more skills for him. He pretty much just plays off his guts and his heart.
He does.
And he just plays really hard, and we need to try to get him to advance his skills a little bit. And
we need to get him to learn any basketball skills at all. That's what he just said.
And hopefully he can do that. But he's going to play for us, that's for sure.
It's Turbine against Isola. We're out here in Las Vegas at the Summer League. We're talking with the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. It's Nick Nurse. You talk about the fans having that edge and Paul Reed having that edge. Another guy is Patrick Beverley, and you just bring him in. And I'm sure you've had some games where you're going, this guy.
I don't want to hear that. Patrick Beverley was released by the Chicago Bulls. It's an odd signing. Doesn't make much sense, really. I think Philly's going to like him, but can he really give you any value on an NBA floor anymore? We will see. But listen, that was Nick Nurse on the Sirius XM interview. It was live on NBA TV yesterday, and he said some interesting things. Give me all of your opinions in the comments of what Nick Nurse said. I do think it's interesting that there was no James Harden question, because clearly, they said, hey, we want to interview Nick Nurse, and the Sixers organization said, okay, that's fine, but make sure you don't say anything about James Harden, because we've been having these battles. Put out a source that says I don't want to come back to Philly, and put out a source that says I'm not trading him and I love him and I want him to come back. They didn't want him to answer any questions about James Harden. There was not a James Harden question in the whole thing. I find that to be pretty interesting. But yeah, give me your thoughts and comments on everything, and hit the like button and stay tuned. This is Run It Back Philly, the realest. You know what I do. I'm that guy. I keep it here, bro. I'm never going anywhere, bro. Sixers 24/7. It's a psychosis. It's an issue that I have, but I can't stop. And I love that you guys love it. So yeah, man, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.